Huh, weird.
Hi everyone, this is King Snow for Lightspeed Saber League, the world's fastest light-based fencing, and I have with me today Kat Larange, co-captain of Starboard Saber Academy in Irving, Texas. How are you today, Kat?
Awesome. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Kat is the first woman to win an open competition in Lightspeed Saber fencing, actually. So, Kat, is this does this feel momentous to you, or is it kind of no big deal? Like, what are you thinking?
Well, so honestly, it took several days for it to sink in that I had actually won. And then someone pointed out to me, "Hey, I think you might be the first lady who has ever won one of these." And I was like, "Oh, huh, weird." So I mean, it is cool. I'm like, I don't want to brag. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, that doesn't surprise me about you at all. But if you don't mind me saying, I did happen to come across your Facebook, and you had about 30 comments under the article about your wins. So I mean, I think everyone, if you're not going to brag, I think everyone else. I think that speaks for itself, though. So
Oh, thank you.
so
I mean, yeah.
go ahead, go ahead.
People seem to be pretty proud of me, and I'm proud of myself too. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's pretty cool.
that's really great. You also earned your D grade in the league, actually. So congratulations on that as well.
Thank you.
So I have a couple questions about how the tournament went. Did you? I presume that since it took you time to sink for it to sink in for you, you probably didn't go in expecting that you might have a chance at this occurring. Actually,
Right. No, I mean, I decided before I went in, like, I would like to win. Like, that would be really cool. But my primary goals were to stay calm, to do my best, and to have fun. And I achieved those. So the winning was honestly like, I don't know, icing on the cake or whatever. It was just like, oh, hey, wow. When I when I'm not thinking about winning, it's more fun, and then apparently I did really well, so
yeah.
I
Would
guess
you
it worked
say
out.
that your would you say that describes how you approach different things? Like you do better when you're more relaxed, or anything like that?
Absolutely. One of our things we talk about a lot at Starbird is like we're a bunch of introverts, we're all very shy, and we all get up in our own heads like constantly. So getting out of your own way and just having a good time and enjoying the moment, like that's one of the things we really try to hone in on.
So, if you consider yourself an introvert, how would you say you got into sword sports?
So, I read a lot of fantasy books when I was a kid, and I always loved movies with sword fights in them. And after my first son was born, I was like, I never did really learn to sword fight, but I would still really like to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if I could do that. And then just coincidentally, I happened to know Russ Mitchell through like my husband went to college with him, and he was looking to put together some sword practicey kind of thing. And I was like, I would be interested in that. And that's sort of how it got started.
And now you're also an illustrator, actually, and I happen to know that you've done illustrations for Russ for his books. Did you
Yeah.
start out with that before you started sword fighting, or did you start the sword fighting first?
Well, I trained in traditional animation, like hand drawn, like classic Disney kind of stuff. Slightly too late, just as they were transitioning away from their drawn animation into focusing on CGI.
Mm,
So my ambition to be a Disney animator kind of went away.
mm-hmm.
So having that training is like, what do you do with it? Well, I can draw.
Yeah, I would like to know if going to time is a strategy for you because several of your matches actually went to time, which of course you often came out on top of. Is that something you try to do in your matches?
Well, I wasn't trying to go to time per se. but I wanted to be deliberate about the openings I took. And oh, I have a friend here to
Hey.
help with this. Um, one thing I've noticed in the past, okay, sweetie, come on, is when the matches get down to the wire, right? You have two people who are going to start diving at each other and swinging wildly and double and double and double until the buzzer goes. And I was like, well, that's a terrible strategy.
Hmm.
If I'm ahead and there's 7 seconds left, I can be defensive and hold off and maintain my lead. And then the time runs out and I'm safe. And then we don't have a lot of ugly doubles and it's not gross.
Yeah,
So
exactly right.
I think
Exactly
it
right.
works on many levels.
Yes, yes, exactly right. Now, speaking of which, though, one of your matches that went to time was against Sebastian Finn, and he is actually the only person who defeated you that night, actually. So, why do you think you lost that fight? And tell us about that match.
So, what I noticed with all the fighters from Star Temple that I faced, they're very aggressive. Sebastian's got to be half my age at most. Um, so he had a lot of aggression, and I would take a couple of hits early in the match before I really got my range in and figured out how am I going to strategize this bout. And he just stayed ahead of me, like on terms of aggression, on terms of being really athletic and bouncing all over the ring. It was like the hits were just coming from everywhere.
Hmm. So, I'm told that you got 12 counterattacks throughout the night. Is that correct?
Oh, I wasn't counting.
Okay. Well, I spoke to Dakota, and he told me that you were on fire, basically, that you were just shooting out counterattacks left and right to every single person. And we already knew that you know how to do that. You know, that was very clear from Vegas already. But 13's a lot. So did you also go into that with that kind of a mindset as well, or is that just a result of training, of continued training?
Um, I'm gonna say mostly training because we do really focus really hard on having really good parry forms so that we can line up counterattacks. But I mean, it is a good strategy as far as getting points as well.
So let's talk about the bracket. By the time that you were going in, I think you were second seeded under Elias. And so you went into the bracket against Travis Whitcraft first. Next you went against Seth Duckworth. Now, this is someone that I'm not familiar with. Is he Star Temple or is he Starbird?
So he's Starbird. He's been with us about 6 months, and he's fought in one tournament before where he came in last.
Hmm.
Like absolute negative points. It was a rough time for him. But he's been working really hard. I'm so proud of him. Like he came in again, super energetic, lots of aggression. Um, and yeah, that was really fun. I was actually nervous about that because at that point I was very tired.
Hmm.
And again, he's in his 20s. I'm somewhat more than that. So I was like, oh, okay, here we go.
How do you feel about fencing one of your own, especially in a semi? I think this was the semifinal.
Hmm.
How do you feel about having to fence one of your students slash members, especially at that high of a level in a tournament?
I think it's good for him to have that pressure test. And I think it's good for me to have that pressure test because it's demonstrating like to the club like yes, I do have skills and it's demonstrating to him like yes, he can bring it. So I think that's beneficial all around.
You don't feel any kind of weirdness about it because on the one hand you have to win ostensibly, but also you have to win well too, right? Because
Yes.
you can't slop through it either, and so that it seems like there must be a strong sense of pressure in different directions, being in that position.
I agree that there's pressure and I agree that winning well is super important. And again, like I had no conception that I was actually going to win against him. I thought
Really?
Yeah, no, I was like, okay, I'm just going to give it my best. I'm going to continue my strategy for the tournament, which was have fun, stay calm, do my best. And but yeah, I'm twice his age.
So let's talk about your final against another one of your members, Elias Kirti. So I'm hearing that there's quite a bit of back and forth on this one, and you're both tired. Tell us about this matchup, and tell us about what strategy you might have gone into it with, and what were the best moments of this.
So fighting Elias is always really fun and really challenging because if you lose your attention for a moment, he senses that pause and he just punishes it. So I had to definitely like be really mentally focused. And at that point, I was so tired.
Hmm.
Like, I got to my corner and Russ was refereeing. He's, fighters ready, and I'm like, I'll be ready in a second, right? And so again, I had no expectations that I was going to be able to beat him. I just wanted to bring a really good fight for my sake so that I could be proud of me and for his sake so that he could really, because if you're not giving your opponent your all, you're dishonoring them in a way.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I wanted to make it a really good fight for him and for me, and I think I did that. It was close.
Hmm.
We definitely went back and forth a lot. It would be like I throw something and he parries it and hits me somewhere, and then I return the favor, and we just went back and forth. And I believe time ran out.
Excellent. So you took the win for this one. I'd like to know, do you have any particularly memorable points that you scored? Against who, and how did you do it?
Yes. Okay. So my favorite one, and I was really happy that Russ saw it. I was fighting, I believe I was fighting Scott Simmons, and I attacked on his inside and disengaged around his block and then tapped him on the glove on the outside. And so the ref on the other side of the ring wanted to call it an indirect. And Russ was like, "No, no, I actually saw this. It was a disengage in time, and she tapped the outside of his glove, and it was a clean." And I was like, "Yes!"
Nice.
So that was my favorite.
Yeah. Awesome. That's really great. How about a favorite fight overall, or favorite opponent you had for the whole night?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, so I think other than Travis hurting himself, like he was one of my favorite fights because he beat me last time.
Hmm.
And it was partially because he was so aggressive, and it was partially because I got in my own way.
You got in your own way.
So, yeah, so I decided this time we're not going to do that. I'm going to stay calm. I'm going to have fun. And I don't know if you've ever tried this, like if you're feeling grumpy or you're feeling a little extra, like just breathe in, right? You breathe in and you kind of smile.
Huh.
Whether you feel it or not, it helps you calm down. So I was doing that so that I could be like, this, I'm going to honor him too with a really good fight. And I think I did that.
I'll keep that in mind. I'll have to try that out. Although I'm a
You should
hangry
try
person personally, so I just have to eat something usually personally. So, but that's just me. We are expecting to see you at Lightspeed Returns in a couple months, and we're all super excited about that. We've got a really strong, really big women's event this year, actually. It's probably our
it.
largest women's event that we've ever had. So it's going to be super exciting. You have any predictions for us, besides that you're going to take it? Do you have any predictions for us
Oh,
about that?
no, I predict everyone's going to have a really good time and bring their best.
I'd like to thank you, Kat, for taking some time to talk to us, and
Yeah.
introducing us to your cat. Kat, very charming, and look forward to interviewing you again for your next win.
Oh, thanks, King.
Okay, cool. Well, everyone, Thanks for listening to our interview with Kat Larange, co-captain at Starbird Saber Academy in Irving, Texas. Thanks once again, Kat, for coming on with us, and we'll talk to you again soon.